our scenario. Who can start us off?
I'll read.
Go ahead, Allison.
Kentucky buys 3 hot dogs and 1 pretzel from a restaurant for $12.25. Silva buys 2 hot dogs and 4 pretzels from the same restaurant for $16.50.
Awesome.
Do
All
I
right.
have to read the part A?
Yes, for just part A, please.
Part A, which system of equation can be used to determine the price of hot dogs and pretzels at the restaurant?
Awesome. Okay. So go ahead and take a look at these 4 options for my systems. And we're basically just playing a game of match. Let's see which one matches the information from the word problem. We know that there has to be 3 hot dogs and 1 pretzel for $12.25. And then 2 hot dogs and 4 pretzels for $16.50.
D.
D, yeah. D for sure. D matches, right? We got 3 and 1 for $12.25. And then we got 2 and 4 for $16.50. Okay, so pretty self-explanatory. Do I have any questions on why that one is the one that matches? Cool. Well, what we can do now, we have a system. This is now a system that we can solve. And actually, let me make this announcement now. For all of today, you may use your calculator. So if you have a calculator with you, go ahead and take it out. If you don't have it with you, your phone is fine, but remember that for tests, no phones allowed. So if you don't have a calculator, think about getting one sometime soon. You definitely will want to have one. A graphing or a scientific calculator. Anyways, now we have a system of equations that we are going to solve, and we can solve it using elimination. So we're going to treat this just like an elimination problem. So I'm going to go ahead and write my system again. 3h plus 1p equals 1225. And then 2h plus 4p equals 1650. Now to solve this using elimination, what should I be doing to top and bottom? Top or bottom, or both?
Multiplying.
Yeah, we want to multiply. What can I multiply by?
Two.
Which one?
Both of the equations.
Will that give me opposites?
No.
Remember, we
Oh,
want opposites.
okay.
Let's think of a way to
Well,
create them.
You can multiply the top equation by 2.
Okay. Is that enough though?
No, I'm thinking of the
We have to
bottom one.
multiply by -2, I believe.
Okay. So the top one would be by -2, and then what about the bottom one?
Three.
By 3. Okay, so that would be one way. Right? One way would be to take this equation times -2 and take the bottom equation times 3. But Alyssa just said, okay, Alyssa just said it in the chat, there's an easier way. There's a way to do it with only doing one step. We can take just the top equation and multiply that one by -4. So
Oh, I see why.
you see why? This way I can eliminate, instead of the h's, I can eliminate the p's. That's what we're going to do. So let's go ahead and take the top equation times -4. What do we end up with?
-12h.
Mm-hmm.
-4.
4p.
Minus 4p equals, and this is where you can use your calculators.
-49.
Negative 49. Good. Equals negative 49. Bottom equation stays the same. 2h plus 4p equals 1650. So now I have my two systems. The p's will cancel.
4.
Yeah, the p's will cancel out, the 4's will cancel out, and we'll be able to solve it using elimination. So I'm going to rewrite it down here. And I will be adding my two equations together. So negative 12 plus 2,
Negative
negative 10h. Good. My 4's,
10
they
plus
cancel. One is positive, one is negative, so they cancel. And what about here? Negative 49 plus 1650.
negative 32.5.
Very good. Okay. Now I have negative 10h equals negative 32.5. What should I do to both sides?
Divide.
Divide.
Divide by 10.
By negative 10. Because we want to get rid of just both the 10 and the negative sign. All right, and we got h equals what?
3.25.
3.25. 3.25. Now, what does that actually mean?
The hot dogs equal $3.25.
The hot dogs are $3.25, which is exactly what this question was asking us for, right? It wanted, what was the price of the hot dogs? Price of a hot dog
Per hot dog or all three of them?
per hot dog. Good question. One hot dog is $3.25, and then she bought 3 of them, right? So in total, she paid what for hot dogs?
$9.75.
$75.
75 cents, yeah. But it was only asking us for one hot dog. So that's our answer. Now let's say I also wanted to find the price of a pretzel. What would I do then?
You have
You
to
add the price of the hot dog back inside the original equation.
Yeah, I would have to plug this number in and then get the value of p. But we're not going to do that because it's not asking us for it, but we will do that in one of the next problems. So any questions on this one? Alrighty. We're just going to keep doing these. By the way, you do not need to write the word problems in your notebook because I know that they can be pretty long. But what you can do, whenever you're reading a word problem, and actually this is very good for test prep. This is what you should do on a test as well. Since tests are on the computer, what you can do on your scratch paper, okay, is while you're reading, you can just write down the important information. So for example, in this one, let's see. A local business was looking to hire a landscaper to work in the property. They narrowed their choices to 2 companies. Flourish Landscaping Company charges a flat rate of $120 per hour. Green Thumb Landscapers charges $70 per hour plus a $1,600 equipment fee. Write a system of equations representing how much each company charges, determine and state the number of hours that must be worked for each company to be the same. Okay, so for this, if I was taking a test and this is the problem on my test, I would write down the following. I would write down company A, which is this Flourish one. So company A is $120 per hour. Company B is $70 per hour plus 1,600. And that's exactly what I would have on my piece of paper. On my notebook, whatever you're writing right now, this is what you can write. And then from there, we'll solve it. We'll write the equations and then we'll solve them. Well, now I need to write an equation. So I got to turn these words into math. For
can do
company
that.
A, what do you guys think? What would that be?
X.
120x, that's it. Y equals, remember, because an equation will always have x's and y's. So y equals 120x. What about equation B or company B?
70x plus 1600. I mean 1500.
Good. Y equals 70x plus 1600. There's my system. Questions on how I made those equations to begin with? Cool. Okay, well now I got to solve the system and figure out the number of hours, because that's what I'm looking for, that they work, okay, in order for it to be the same. So I know that it's a system. I know I'm looking for the equivalence point, right? I'm looking for the point where they meet, and I'm looking for the number of hours. Well, which variable is hours, Y or X?
X.
X. Yeah, hours is X. So we are looking for X. We want to know what X equals. Okay, I have these two equations. Should I use elimination or maybe substitution instead?
Substitution is
Substitution.
easier
Easier, yeah. How do you know when to use substitution?
when a variable is isolated.
Good. Well, luckily we have two variables that are isolated, which is actually even better. But let's take the top equation. My y is isolated, so I'm going to take this 120x, and what do I do with it?
You plug it in for y.
I plug it in for y, yeah. So equation B is y equals 70x plus 1,600. Well, I'm just going to replace that y with 120x. That's all I'm doing. Now I can solve for x. So all of this is what you would be writing down. You don't need to write all the words from the word problem, but definitely the work that we're doing. Well, if I'm solving for x, what should I do first?
We move the 70x to the left.
Beautiful, yes, we want to move that 70x. How do I do that? Should I add it or should I subtract it? Yeah.
Subtract it.
Exactly. We are subtracting it from both sides. What's 120 minus 70?
Negative 50.
Nope, just 120 minus 70.
50.
Yeah, just 50. So 50x equals 1600. Now what do I do to both sides?
Divide by 50.
Divide by 50, yeah. What would be 1600 divided by 50?
32.
Say that again a little louder.
32.
32. So what does that tell me?
I was gonna multiply it.
You were going to multiply it by 50.
I don't know why. I just.
Well, Allison, let's say you did that. Let's say you were mistaken, but that's okay. And then you multiplied it by 50, you would get this number. You would get 80,000. Which of those two answers makes more sense?
32.
Right, right? Because we're looking for the number of hours. That would be a heck of a lot of hours for them to be working, right? 80,000 hours? That's like, how many days is that? 80,000 divided by 24? That's 3,000 days. That would be, okay, divided by
Don't stop working.
365. That would be 9 years. They'd be working for 9 years. That'd be a lot of years. So even if you did that, Allison, and then you got that number, it just looks wrong, right? It doesn't make sense. So you could always go back and maybe try something else. 32 hours. All right. Questions on this one? Basically, all the problems we're doing today are going to be like this. You have a word problem, you have to write 2 equations, solve them, and that's it. And the more we do, the more it'll like sink in, the more you're going to follow and see those patterns. All right, number 3, who can go ahead and read number 3 for us?
I'll read it.
Go ahead, Allison.
Lewis spent $55 buying songs and movies at online store that charged $1.25 for each song and $2.75 for each movie. He purchased a total of 26 songs and movie combined. Write a system of equations that represents the situation.
Awesome. Okay, so this is just telling us to write the system, but I also want to solve it afterwards. So let me write this down, the important information. So he spends $55 total, right? And we know that it is $1.25 for each song, so per song, and that it's $2.75 per movie. And then we also know that he bought 26 songs and movies combined. Is that all the info? Yeah, right? That's everything I've got. Okay, well, we need to write 2 equations, right? So we have 4 different numbers to work with. Which of those numbers belong together and which one is sort of separate?
55 total is separate
Okay,
because it's the total.
because it's the total amount of,
Wait, could you repeat the question again?
sure, I'll ask it again. So I have 4 numbers, right? Which of those belong together and which number is separate from the rest?
The songs and movies belong together.
Okay, the songs and movies belong together. So these 2 belong together?
Yeah.
Okay. And if that's how much he spends per song and per movie, what will that be? What will that add up to? Will that add up to 55 or
55
26?
total.
Yeah, that matches with the 55. So basically, look what I'm doing. I'm keeping all the money together. All the money stays together because the 26 is not money. What is it?
It is
The
the
amount of movies
how
that
much movies and songs you bought.
Yeah, it's like how many did he actually buy? So we're going to come up, we have our 2 equations. One has to do with money. So one is our money equation, and one is going to be our amount. How many? Well, the money equation, we know that it's $1.25 per song. So I'm going to put an S. And then we know that it's $2.75 per movie. So I'll put an M. And both of those together adds up to 55. So there's my equation for money. And what is so the 26 is what? What does that represent?
Wait,
The
what was
total
the question?
My question again is, what does the 26 represent?
How much movies and
How
songs you bought?
good? How many, right? Not the dollars that he spent, but just how many physical songs, how many physical movies. So that's just going to be S plus M equals 26. The songs plus the movies are 26. There's my system. Questions on how I got those numbers? Okay. Well, now I have my system. I can solve this system in order to figure out how many songs he bought and how many movies he bought, because that's what we don't know. Well, what should I do? Should I use substitution or should I use elimination?
Substitution.
Substitution.
We want to use substitution. Okay. So which variable do you guys want me to get alone? The S or the M?
The
M? Doesn't matter. Remember, it really does not matter. Okay, let's do it. Step 1 of substitution, we're going to get that M alone. So here's my equation B. I have S plus M equals 26. How do I get that M by itself?
S minus.
Minus S on both sides. Okay, so I have M equals 26 minus S. There's what I'm going to be plugging in. It's equal to M. So in step 2, I go to equation A, and I'm going to plug that in. Okay. So I plugged in my solution there, and now I can go ahead and solve. Solving for S. Yeah, we're going to distribute first. And again, you may use your calculator since we're multiplying with decimals. So go ahead, what would be 2.75 times 26?
71.5.
71.5. And then minus 2.75 S. I'm trying my best to make sure that my 5s look like 5s and my S's look like S's, but let me know if at any point you're confused by them. Okay, now what can I do to both sides? Or no, what can I do in the next step?
Combine like terms.
Combine like terms. That's correct. So I have 1.25 minus 2.75. Calculators, 1.
Negative 5.
Good. 1.25 minus 2.75 gives me negative 1.5 S plus 71.5 equals 55. Now what can I do to both sides?
Subtract 71.5.
Subtract 71.5 from both sides. Oh my goodness, I'm running out of room. Hold on. Oops. Okay. So what's 55 minus 71.5?
Negative 16.5.
Negative 16.5. What should I do to both sides now?
Divide.
Divide by what?
Negative 1.5.
Good. What does S equal?
Positive 11.
Positive 11. Now what does that represent again?
The amount of songs he bought. Like
Good.
the amount.
Good. So now we know that he bought 11 songs. And since the songs and the movies have to add up to 26, this is not too difficult now. How many movies did he buy?
15 movies.
15 movies. Any questions?
On a test, this will be multiple questions, right? Like
Mhm.
multiple choice answers. Okay.
On the test, yes. So I'll give you a little hint. On your quiz today, there will be a similar question with multiple choice. On your test, it'll all be multiple choice as well. On the EOC at the end of the year in May, you'll have, because the EOC is a little bit different than your topic tests. So on the EOC, you might see a question where you fill in the answer. So you might see just a blank space where you have to put 11 and then 15.
Oh, we add it to a sentence.
Yeah, basically. Okay, any other questions? All right, let's do another one. Number 4. Now, Allison's been awesome at reading. Does
Quiz is
anybody
gonna
else?
be graded, right?
The quiz, yes, yes. All of quizzes are graded, all homeworks are graded. Would anyone else like to read for us? I've heard from Allison a lot. I've heard from Ajira a lot. I would love to hear from any of my other 15 students that are here today.
A restaurant serves a vegetarian and chicken lunch special each day. Each vegetarian special is the same price. Each chicken special is the same price. However, the price of the vegetarian special is different from the price of the chicken special. On Thursday, the restaurants collect 467 selling 21 vegetarian special and 40 chicken special. On Friday, the restaurants collect 484 selling 28 vegetarian special and 36 chicken specials. What is the cost of each lunch special?
Perfect. Okay. So this is again kind of similar, right? We have a situation where we have money. So we're going to have a money equation, and then we're going to have a amount equation. So let me write down my important information. So we know that, so there was 21 vegetarian and 40 chicken specials on one day, and that was 467. And then on another day, they had 28 veggie. They had 36 chicken. And that was 484. Okay. Well, actually, this one is even easier because they kind of already show you what the two equations are going to be, right? Because I have, can you guys see how it's pretty much already broken down into those two equations? So I can basically just create my system right away.
You can put 21V
Mm-hmm.
plus 40C and then
Exactly.
equals 400
Exactly. And then 28V plus 36C equals 484. So this one, pretty, like, I love when they break it down for you. Sometimes the questions are going to be a little bit more confusing. Sometimes they're very nice to you and they basically break it down. So any questions on how I got my two equations for this one? Okay. Well, now I have to solve this system and let's strategize. Should I use substitution or should I use elimination?
Elimination.
I agree. There's no lonely
Elimination.
variables here, right? All of my variables have coefficients, so it's going to be easier for me to use elimination. But in order to do elimination, I'm going to have to multiply these, or maybe even divide, and that's a little hint, you might have to divide. Can we strategize a way to get opposites to happen? Think about it for a little while, and you can put your answer in the chat for me. So what should I multiply on the top? What should I multiply on the bottom? Or divide. Remember, you can also divide. Anyone? Okay, I'm seeing some suggestions. I'm going to start replying to everybody in the chat, but keep sending me your suggestions. Okay, I'm not seeing any suggestions. So I also would just like to say that I've been hearing a lot from Ijara, from Alyssa, from Allison, and from Bianca, but basically from nobody else, and that worries me. I heard from Lauren like one time. So what's going on, guys? I know it's Friday. I know it's been a long week, but we still have to learn this, and you still have to be able to do it. So if you're not in the chat and you're not saying things out loud, then I don't know. Are you learning? Probably not. Probably not. So let me hear you guys. So nobody has any suggestions for me? We forgot how to do elimination completely, or what? If you don't know, then ask questions. I say this all the time. Ask me questions. Ask me questions. I will help you with it.
So, Miss,
Mm-hmm.
can you multiply it?
Right. Okay. I already said this. You multiply or you divide. That's your only options.
Okay.
Miss,
Mm-hmm.
you can divide the top one by 10 and the bottom one by 12.
Okay, there it is. Okay, so what did you, first of all, which variables will that eliminate?
C.
The C's. Okay,
Wait, make one of them negative.
good. I was just going to say.
That was
Oh wait,
how
I
I
see
almost
what
forgot
he's
that.
doing.
Do you see what he did? So he said top one divided by 10, bottom one divided by,
But they
said-
won't be opposite coefficients because 40 divided by 10 equals 4, and then 36 divided by 12 equals 3.
okay, so should he use 12 or a different number?
Different number.
Which number?
I was 9.
9, there you go. 9. Okay, if you're a little unsure about why that works, let's look. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So my top one divided everything divided by 10. What do I get?
2.1 V
Mm-hmm.
plus 4C
Mm-hmm.
plus 46.7.
It's 46.7. Good. Remember, you can use your calculators. I'm not limiting you at all. Use your calculators. What's the bottom one going to be? Divided by -9.
31.
Negative 3.1.
Something.
Negative what?
3.1.
3.1. Okay.
Negative 4C.
Negative 4C. And then
53.7.
negative 53.7. Good. Okay. Actually, let's round that. If I round that up, it's 0.8. So I'm going to 0.8. Good. Now we have opposites. See? So this was a little challenging because you had to divide instead of multiply. You could multiply. All right. I'm not saying that you can't multiply, but if you multiplied, you would end up with these like really huge numbers that would probably make it a little bit more difficult. So by dividing, we end up with some slightly easier numbers to work with. The 4's cancel out. 2.1 minus 3.1. That's 1. Negative, and you can use your calculator. Yeah, negative 1.1 V. And then 46.7, use your calculator.
Negative 7.1.
Negative 7.1. Good. Now, negative 1.1 V equals negative 7.1. I divide both sides by negative 1.1. What do I get?
Negative 6.4.
And we're talking money, so you can say it as money. What would that be?
Oh, negative.
And it's a net
Positive 6.45.
positive 6.45. Exactly. Okay. Questions? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I just saw in the chat. I think we made a little mistake. This is just negative 1V. I'm sorry, guys. I think I typed that wrong.
I was going to say that, but I didn't want to,
That was me messing up on my calculator. So see, it happens. Okay. So when you just divide that by -1, it's just it's just positive 7.1.
7.10.
7.10, yeah. $7.10 for the vegetarian meal. But we need both, right? It's asking us what is the cost of each lunch special. So veggie is $7.10. I can go ahead and I can plug that back into one of my original equations. And let's see what I end up with. So let's see. 21 times 7.10 is 149.10.
140, yeah.
Subtract that from both sides. Let's see, 467 minus 149.10 is 317.9. Divide both sides by 40.
7.94.
Good. Okay, and I'm just going to leave this as 7.90 because they both have to add up to a whole number. All right, so any questions on this one? This one was definitely trickier just because that first step of figuring out what to multiply by, what to divide by, that's kind of the hardest step. So do I have any questions on that?
Why did you have to take away the 94 and make it into a 90?
Because we wanted to add up to a whole number, right? Like we did a lot of rounding throughout, but at the end, this has to add up to 467, right? Whole number. So I'm just rounding it back down to 90 because otherwise we'll end up with a decimal if we keep it as 94. But again, on a quiz, on a test, you'll have a multiple choice answer. So if you got a decimal, just, pick the closest one and you'll be fine. Okie dokes. Keeping this right up. Let me see how many we have left so we can. All right, there's 4 left. Yeah, we'll finish with plenty of time. Okay. All right, who can go ahead and read this one? I think Allison wanted to read another one. Do you want to go ahead?
Sure.
Go ahead.
The
Enrollment.
enrollment at a high school R has been increasing by 20 students per year. Currently, high school R has 200 students attending. High school T currently has 400 students, but the enrollment is decreasing in size by average of 30 students per year. If the two schools continue to their current enrollment trends over the next few years, how many years will it take for the high schools to have the same enrollment?
Good. Okay, so let's write down, again, we always write down our important information. High school R has been increasing by 20 per year, and it has 200. High school T is decreasing by 30 per year, and it has 400. Okay, those are my two situations. Can anyone volunteer to write an equation for me?
Twenty.
20x for R, it equals y equals 20x plus 200.
There it is, yeah. 20x, we know that that's the variable because of the word per. So 20x plus 200, because it started with 200, and then we're adding 20x every year. What about high school T?
30x negative 400.
Which one would be negative, the 30 or the 400?
The 30.
The 30 would be negative, right? Because it's decreasing by 30 each year, and it started with 400. So there's my two equations. All right, let's do it. Substitution or elimination?
Elimination. Substitution.
Why substitution?
Because they're already a variable that is isolated.
Good. That y is all alone. In fact, both y's are all alone. So I can choose either one. And I can plug it in to the other one. So equation T. Let me make this smaller. Okay. So equation T tells me that y equals negative 30x plus 400. So I take what I highlighted in green and I'm going to plug it in for y. So this is 20x plus 200 equals negative 30x plus 400. And I can solve. All right,
Reminds me of the first, like in September and stuff.
Yeah, this is like one of those equations we did back in the day. All right, what can I do to both sides here?
We moved the 30x to the left.
Good. Should I add or should I subtract?
Add.
Good. I'm gonna add 30x. Crosses out. 20 plus 30 is 50. Now what do I do to both sides?
Subtract 200.
Good. $50x equals
200.
200. Divide both sides by 50. What do I get? 4. We got 4.
4.
X equals 4. 4 years. Boom. Done. This one was I would say this one's a little easier compared to all the rest. Questions? Any at all? Awesome, awesome. All right, I want to look through and I want to pick at least one more. I see one that's kind of a challenge one. I think we did this one already. Oops. I'll just delete it. Okay. Okay. So I want to make sure we finish by 10:30. That way you guys have enough time to take your quiz. So for this one, all I want you guys to do first is write the two equations. So I'll give you guys it should only take about a minute because this one's easy. It's already laid out for you. Send me in the chat what would be the two equations that we would use in this example. Okay, 5 seconds. Send me your answers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. All right, good. I'm seeing some correct responses. Again, this one's very straightforward. This is your first equation, and this is your second equation. So we would have 60C plus 110D equals 275, or 265, I mean. And then 120C plus 90D equals 270.
We didn't need Y.
Yeah, not in this one. Not in this one. Okay, well now, together, let's come up with a strategy for how to create my opposites. Do you guys want to eliminate the C's, or the D's?
C.
Yeah, the C's will be a little bit easier because 60 and 120 kind of have a least common multiple. They have a, what's it called? The
Yeah,
greatest common
multiply.
factor.
You can multiply 60 by 2.
Yeah. This one can be times 2. However, not just 2.
-2.
-2. Good. -2. Remember that we want opposites always. And the bottom one can stay the same. Okay. -120C minus 220D equals 265 times 2 is 530.
Negative 530.
Oh, you are so right. Thank you. Negative 530. And then positive 120C plus 90D equals 270. Questions on why I did that? Questions on any part of this so far? I want to make sure we finish strong. Okay. Now I can add these two together. My C's cancel out just like I wanted. And what am I left with? Negative 220 plus 90.
Negative 130.
Negative 130, yes. And then negative 530 plus 270.
Negative 260.
Negative 260. Again, calculators are allowed. Use them. Do not rely. These are big numbers, right? So you can do things in your head. That's fine. Check it with your calculator when you are allowed to have one. And since I'm telling you on your quiz as well, you may use a calculator. Okay, so make sure you make use of it. We divide both sides by negative 130. What do we end up with?
D equals positive 2.
D equals positive 2. So what does that tell me?
That's how much each drink costs.
Good. That's how much each drink costs. So drinks are $2. Drinks are $2. I got to plug that number back into one of my originals. So I'll plug that into A. $60C plus 220 equals 265. Subtracting 220 from both sides, what do I end up with? 265 minus 220.
$65. I mean, no, wait.
No, not 65.
45.
45. Thank you, Chloe. Good. Now we divide both sides by 60. What do I get?
0.75.
0.75. So candy bars are 75 cents. There's our answers. All right, guys, that is the last one that I want to make sure you guys have ample time to start on your quizzes. All right, so as a reminder, the quiz will be on Microsoft Teams. I'm going to put it up right now. You will have these 15 minutes to start on it. If you don't finish, it is due at midnight tonight. You can use a calculator, so make sure you do, right? Don't mess up just because you forgot to use your calculator. Use it. I'm telling you to use it. And it will count for a grade. So those of you who are missing a lot of assignments, please make sure you get it done. Anything is better than a Z. And last but not least, if you